What is up, my viewers and subscribers? I'm Mike Wayne, aka Rebel180, and this is another episode of Movie Face-Off, something I haven't done in quite a while because not a lot of people tuned in, and I don't get motivated by uh, one like and stuff like that. But before I get started, I want to say to the people that are watching, if anyone is watching, uh, check out my Night of Champions review Sunday. Check it out Sunday, and more people should be watching. I'm not talking about a whole bunch of people. I'm just talking about maybe more than just one or two people. Maybe like a few, maybe like several, something like that. Even 5 people. Uh, 5 people should be thumbing this up or whatever. Comment stuff. Um, but yeah, check it out. Definitely check out my um, Night of Champions review. Sorry for the uh, sorry for my me losing my train of thought every now and then. I'm still getting used to being back since I've been gone for like over 3 months now. Just returned last Monday. Well, this past Monday, I should say. And I'm ready to get started now. This is going to be Jumanji versus Zathura, two board game based movies that are years apart from each other. And I'm going to start off with Jumanji. Now, Jumanji, right off the bat, because I'm a 90s guy, gets points for nostalgia because it's such a great movie of my time. Back when I was a kid watching it, it was one of the first movies I could remember actually liking. And it stars the late, great Robin Williams, who wasn't ordinarily known for these type of movies, the action-adventure type thing. He was more a comedian, sort of, he did Hook, but whatever. But this wasn't, typically the kind of role you would see him in. Um, he did Doubtfire and all that. Those kind of movies. Those kind of movies you would normally see him in. But it stars Robin Williams, who plays the older version of Alan Parrish, who is this boy who digs up a board game that was left from 2 previous kids that played it back in the 1800s. At least I think it was the 1800s. I don't know. My memory is kind of hazy on that. But anyways, he gets sucked into the game, and so fast forward to 26 years later, 2 kids named Judy and Peter. I don't really know who plays Peter, but Kristen Dunst plays Judy. And, they find the board game in the attic, and they start playing, and mosquitoes come out, monkeys, a lion, and then Robin Williams' character shows up to fight off the lion. And, Alan Parrish, he had been in the game for a long time, so he doesn't know what's happening. He doesn't know exactly how long it's been, so he thinks his parents are still alive, and he actually mistakes Judy for his sister, but she wasn't. And so he goes looking for his parents. He finds out that the old Parrish shoe factory was shut down years ago, and he finds out that his parents have been dead for a long time. And so he reluctantly begins playing after they convince him that he has no choice. The game works like, once your piece is on the board, you can't stop playing. But it's not his turn, so he goes to the other player, that the only other person that was with him when he got sucked in the game. And she also doesn't want to play. Her name is Sarah Whittle. She doesn't want to play either, but she has to, because the game, every player has to keep going for the game to end. And it's a lot of, there's a lot of adventure, like Alan gets hunted down by Van Pelt, who, fun fact, is played by the same guy that plays Alan's father. So that's interesting. Alan has to go on the run from Van Pelt, who is apparently invincible because he gets stabbed in the shoulder and doesn't bleed or anything. And he gets his gun replaced, whatever, because they don't make the kind of bullets that goes to his old gun. And Alan finds out that he got one of his friends, Carl Bentley, fired from Paris Shoes, and then he found a job as a policeman, and so he gets arrested by his old friend Carl. And as he's being taken to the police station, he tells Carl that he's Alan, and weird stuff is going on, and there's monkeys riding a motorcycle, and it's all kinds of chaos. But it's a very fun, very entertaining movie. Alan for after experiencing an earthquake and quicksand and all this other stuff, Alan is once again, for the last time, confronted by Van Pelt, but he actually wins the game right before he's about to get shot. And at the very end, it's funny, it was supposed to be some sort of sequel bait type thing, but I guess they never got around to it, so we're doing this sequel reboot with Kevin Hart and Dwayne Johnson, also known as The Rock to hardcore wrestling fans. And that's pretty much it. The new Jumanji movie is coming out next year, and it seems that they might actually be in the game this time instead of experiencing things from the game happening in the real world. They might actually get sucked into the game all at once or whatever, I don't know. But anyways, to review Zathura, and this one gets points for originality and kind of an interesting plot twist, which I will get to. And Zathura is kind of fun, but it lacks the wholesome kind of feel that Jumanji had. These two brothers, it starts off with these two brothers. They come from sort of a broken home, if you could say that, and their parents just went through a divorce, and the older son blames the younger one for it, and they're just always at each other's throat. And they have an older sister, but it doesn't show her until like uh, later on, and she's the worst of the bunch because she doesn't care about either of her brothers. Uh, she just wants to go out and have a good time with some guy or whatever. Uh, and then, later on, uh, while the older brother, Walter, is he's watching Sports Center because he's a big sports fan, apparently. And his his little brother, Danny, I think it is. He was he finds this board game in the basement where Walter left him, because in the beginning he was a dick. Uh, and all in all, they start this adventure, and unlike Jumanji, they don't. Unlike Jumanji, their environment never their environment completely changes. Their surroundings completely change. They're in outer space, which I want to comment on that because it's completely illogical for them to step outside and still be able to breathe. That makes no sense. But hey, it's a movie, so what are you gonna do? They begin playing and they encounter all sorts of things. Like the first thing they encounter is a meteor shower, which crushes the TV and all this. Then they find a robot. It's a defective robot, and then and later on, Dax Shepard's character, who who at the time was an unnamed character until the plot twist that happens later on in the movie. And he saves them from these aliens called Zorgons, which are sort of like reptilian predator-like things. They eat meat, whatever. And he's sort of watching, their backs and making sure they finish the game safely. And he tells this story about how he sort of drew a shooting star card, which lets you wish for anything you want. And the funny thing about that is, 15 years prior to him being spun, he wished for his brother to never be born, and he couldn't complete the game. 15 years later, he's sucked through a wormhole that's apparently like a time loop or something, sort of like time warp. And later on in the movie, it turns out that he's actually an older version of Walter, who wished that Danny was never born. And they find this out after Walter gets a second shooting star wish, and it turns out that Danny was the brother that was wished away. And so then that the older version of Walter disappears, and they continue the game. And it's funny, Kristen Stewart is in this movie, which I find weird because she said a line that was told to her in Twilight, which that's kind of impossible because Twilight was made years after the movie was, and she said Dax Shepard's character obviously feels protective over her. That was a line said to her in the first Twilight movie, which was weird. Anyways, it's a very, very interesting and kind of fun movie, but a lot of the elements were just off to me. And, this might be nostalgia or whatever, but I might have to give this one to Jumanji because, you know, even though Zathura is a little bit more original, it kind of leaves some stuff out. Like, at first you think that Dax Shepard's character is a different person, so you're like, why doesn't it show him at the beginning getting, playing this game or whatever? But apparently it didn't want to do that because it wanted you to be shocked at the twist that he apparently was like a paradox character or something. I don't know. But I've gone on quite a while now, and I just want to say that I'm probably going to give this to Jumanji because it was a great movie to watch growing up, and I think it just holds up better than Zathura. Anyone watching this, give me your thoughts on it. If you like Zathura better, that's okay. But I just thought Jumanji was better. So comment below if anyone is actually watching. Please rate and comment. Like I said, I am Mike Wayne, aka Rebel 180. So long until Sunday.